Our next guest on the pod is the man behind the Marathon Panda, who turned into an ultra runner himself when he took the world by storm last year at the Hamster Wheel Ultra Marathon. He knows the secret sauce to the TB12 method. He'll help you find your path to peak performance at his very own Apex Physical Therapy, and he knows many tricks to help you get ready for your 2025 marathons, especially all of you running the Boston Marathon this year. We are wicked excited to welcome Alex Burke to the On the Runs podcast. What's up, Burkey?
Woo! Thank you, guys. That was an awesome intro. Wow. I'm really fired up to be here. Known you guys for a little bit, been a big fan of the pod, so it's nice to finally be sitting here chatting with you guys.
It's nice to see you again, still as smiley as I remember after seeing you run an ungodly amount of miles at the Hamster Wheel last year. So welcome to the podcast. It's been a long time coming, but we're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
You took the world by storm at that Hamster Wheel, and we're going to go there, but we actually met years ago at another ultramarathon, one of our all-time favorites. Actually, probably those are our top two favorites, Hamster Wheel and Anchor Down. We met at Anchor Down. You were crewing for Maurice, the Marathon Panda, and you're more than just like crew support. You're like massaging his legs and stretching him and getting him good. And I teased, you know, the secret sauce to the TB12 method. That's where we met at ADU.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, I never thought that I would actually run an ultra. And, you know, after crewing him a couple times down there and seeing how crazy it is to be running for 24 hours, never thought that I would go more than a marathon. But it's like such an amazing community at those events, and, you know, just to see everyone, you know, push themselves and just to reach a new level that they didn't think they could get to, like, that's super inspiring to me. But yeah, no, it was that was fun that year helping Maurice. I think he got 80 miles, something like that. But yeah, he was lucky to have me as his pit crew, working on his foot and his calves and doing all sorts of things that most runners probably didn't get that day. But
yeah, I can definitely tell you I did not get any of that special treatment. Yeah. So Maurice is definitely lucky to have you. And I just think it's awesome how the tables are turning this year. Because I believe I saw your name on the Anchor Down entrance list. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yep. Well, the reason why I ran Hamster Wheel was to to qualify for Anchor Down. Yeah.
What's Maurice gonna do if you're not there? Like rub his foot or something?
I don't know.
Wait, am I now the guy? Do I have to rub everyone's feet?
Mo's running it. I don't think I saw him on the list, man. So I think he's gonna be like literally turn the tables and is gonna be crewing Alex.
You know what? I think Maurice will be just fine. I think he'll be good. I've taught him enough of how to foam roll and stretch and take care of his own body, so he'll be good. I'll still be out there. Who knows? Maybe in between a lap, I can give him a hand if he's really struggling. But so I think it'll be fun to be running alongside him this year.
That would be cool. So back to that year we met. I forget the year. It was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. For some reason, my memory says to me that was your first ultramarathon experience of any kind.
It was. Yeah.
It was. You were like that baby giraffe a little bit, because that was me the year before crewing for Erica, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the scene. I was like a deer in headlights, and I got that vibe from you because you're like running around. You're really focusing on him. You're trying to figure it all out, and then you got hooked. Did you ever even run a 5K or a marathon at that point? Like, were you a runner? When did this all begin for you?
Well, I just want to say I definitely was a baby giraffe in that. I was like the guy with the clipboard running around, making sure I was like, keeping track of every step he took and how many calories he took. And, he got to about mile 50 and it was like the clipboard got scrapped. But no, I grew up playing team sports, baseball, basketball, football. And then it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe like middle school, I started getting into running. So I did a little bit of cross country, and then I played, continued to play team sports through high school and college, played football in high school, coached football after high school, played rugby. And then it wasn't until COVID is when I fell into running. And I think I did a 5K maybe in 2018. And then I just like signed up for a marathon in 2020. Just like,
you're like, here we go. Oh no. So you signed up in 2020. Did you actually get to run it?
No, I didn't. I signed up for Mount Desert Island up in Maine, and that one got pushed back like 2 times. So it was like missed it 2020 and missed it in 2019 and missed it in 2020, but I ran it in 2021 or 22. I get them all mixed up. But But I was training like for a year and a half with, no marathons, just kind of building my mileage and stuff. But yeah, I went 5K to marathon, and then I went marathon to 24-hour race.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that progression.
Yeah.
Because we were just talking with our previous guest saying how he ran his first marathon and was like, my body can do more than this. And
Right.
I was like, wait a minute. It took me 3 years to do another marathon after my first one. And then it did slowly escalate from there. But I did not have that mindset. Running was not like, I don't know. It was tough. It was hard, and I didn't have the consistency to keep me going. So just the fact that you consistently trained for the year and a half for the marathon that was yet to come, and then was like, all right, let's go. We're going big. We're gonna do do a 24-hour race. I am so impressed by that.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit crazy, or I just like really hard challenges, but I just felt like
Welcome.
Yeah, it's fun, and I feel like the slower you go, the longer you can go too. So, I felt like
is that how it works?
It's all
I might
about the
try that
endurance,
next.
man.
Wait, well, are we talking about running? Oh, okay.
Oh man, I knew as soon as I said that, I was like, that wasn't a good way to word that, but no,
Give
it's
it to Eric. Dirty
yeah.
mind.
You're welcome. If
But,
I had the soundboard right now, it would be the drums. Boom. But Alex, okay, so we met you about 2 years ago at ADU, and then this past year you crushed at Hamster Wheel. Let's pause. Let's go back in time. Erica, give me the Wayne's World here. Give me the Wayne's World. Let's find out more about you. Who is Alex? And we know you're a physical therapist, and now you're a runner. How did all this happen? How did you develop from, where are you from first off? Are you a New England kid, or how did you get here? Give us the Alex rundown.
Oof, the Alex rundown. Okay.
I like that better than bio, Erica. What do you think?
Sounds good. I like the rundown.
So I was born in Newport, Rhode Island. I grew up in Jamestown, Rhode Island, a little island in the middle of the state. Went to school there. I ended up going to URI for physical therapy. So did undergrad and grad school there. And then, during that time I coached football. And like I said before, I got into running. And then, my first job I took was a physical therapy job in Providence. And it was a great gig, but I just felt like I wanted to do something a little bit more personalized. So I applied to TB12 Sports in Boston. I just, I thought that they had an awesome mission. I thought they did really great work with their clients. And so I just walked into their clinic one day and asked if they were hiring, and they were like, yeah, actually a job just opened up. So I just walked in. Yeah.
I love the approach.
And so then I applied and ended up getting the job. And, I guess like my passion toward physical therapy, really, it was just like a culmination of like loving sports. I wanted to help people. I wanted to go into the medical field. And I felt like, the two passions kind of just naturally kind of led me into this direction. But yeah, so I worked at TB12 for a couple of years and absolutely loved it. I got to learn directly from Alex Guerrero, Tom Brady's body coach. And I, had a ton of other people help me along the way too. Matt Denning, Christian Boucher, Becca, John. I mean, a lot of like great people over there.
Listen to name dropping here.
Love it.
No name
love
dropping?
It.
No,
love it.
We
I love it.
Oh, okay.
You're naming names of people we know and we love. This is great.
Yeah, so I got to give credit where credit's due. Those people taught me everything I know, basically, in addition to some of the other great instructors I had in school. But yeah, unfortunately, the doors closed there in, I think, April of 2023. And, it kind of came as a shock, that being like my dream job and having like, a nice foundation of clients. And, I was just kind of in my groove there. I felt like I really fit in. And the fact that it had closed was a little disappointing. And I didn't really know quite what to do. So then I decided to start, my own practice. So I had a good group of people that I was helping out. And, they said, wherever you go, we'll go. And so I started just treating out of my house, and now I, have a space that I work out of in Newton. It's a beautiful gym facility, and I started out as Burke Sports Rehab, and I just announced today that I'm now Apex Physical Therapy. So
today,
yes.
Oh, holy shit!
Been long
How fortunate was I to get the name right on the intro?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, he did his research and he was like quick to look stuff up. And
Man, breaking news, exclusive breaking news on the pod. You are now Apex Physical Therapy.
So, Alex, how did you choose a new name for your practice?
Well, basically, I went with Burke Sports Rehab in the very beginning because it was, it's just me. It's still just me, but
Mhm.
I didn't really know quite what else to call myself, to be honest with you. I knew I needed to
Okay.
get started and like legally had to pick a name. And over the last couple of years of working, I felt like Apex really stuck out to me as a good name because I'm trying to help people, reach their peak performance and get out of pain and
I
feel their
love
best.
that.
So I thought that was like a really cool name that really embodies like what my goal is and what my mission is.
That's perfect.
What does Apex stand for? And am I stupid for asking this? Should
It
I know?
doesn't, no, it doesn't stand for anything. It just means like, like the pinnacle, the peak of the mountaintop.
That's what it means. That's what it is. It does stand for something. I love that.
Yes.
Let me say this though. It sounds like you built a really like cool list of clientele. They all trusted you. They followed you wherever you went. Like that had to be essential for you to go on your own and to build this brand and to build Apex and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like just for me, like forming good relationships with my clients is number one. For providing like great care to them and getting them better is probably more number one. But then number two, close second, is just forming good bonds and good relationships and forming good friendships. Letting people know that I am there for them like every step of the way and whatever journey they're going through, like post-op, coming out of like a surgery, or if they're injured, or if they're just trying to get better. I think that's what separates me from like a traditional physical therapy practice. That concierge approach of more one-on-one time. I can be more flexible with our sessions. I can do more manual therapy. There's like things that I can do that your traditional PT clinics won't do. So that's, I think, what helps, like build the buy-in.
How does it help your practice being a runner yourself? Do you have a lot of clients who are runners who are just looking to get healthy for races, or is it mostly just like rehabbing an injury or something?
Yeah, I mean, I love working with runners. That's like a clientele
It
that
helps when you go to
love.
somebody who's very knowledgeable and can actually understand what your issue is.
For sure,
Yeah.
like it definitely has some pull, like being able to like talk the talk and walk the walk, if you will. To know what it feels like to put big miles on your legs, or I actually, part of me likes when I get a little injury, because then I can like really experience it and know that like what type of pain my client's feeling, and then I can rehab it a certain way and try different things to see what works best. But I think it definitely helps me when I work with runners, and just staying in the game, just continuing to be an athlete, living a healthy lifestyle, leading by example, like that all that stuff helps too. But I love working with runners. Anytime I work with a runner, we just talk running the entire session. It's
right. I would imagine like you're mostly getting adults, I'm imagining. And you're not going to get the guys who play beer league hockey or like pick up baseball. You're going to get, if you get an adult who's an athlete, they're a runner. They take running seriously. So you're either getting runners, or you're getting someone who like had an injury in a car accident and their insurance is paying for physical therapy to get their shoulder worked on or something. So you're working with one or the other. That's how I'm envisioning it. Like the guy who, pulls a groin at beer league hockey is not coming in for that. He's going to locker room and putting more beer on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot putting more beer on it. Most of the people I work with are pretty motivated.
Welcome to On the Runs, Alex. Welcome to On the Runs.
We get creative on here.
Yeah, put some beer on it, of course, man. Like that's just, it's ice. It's ice, baby. Your physical therapy, right? Ice it up. Alex,
whatever modality you can find.
Right. So Alex, we're going to talk about Hamster Wheel in a little bit, because the performance you put on is legendary. Like, holy cow, no one was expecting it. We're going to get to that later.
It was a beauty to watch. Well, yeah.
Cool.
We'll
Thank you, guys.
But the couple times when we talked years ago, and then when we talked after Hamster Wheel, I was more interested in physical therapy. And I was like, hey, man, listen, we do this really cool series called Boston Weeks. And it's starting in a couple of weeks from now. But there's a lot of people out there. It's winter. It's cold. It's snowy. They're training for marathons. They're training for Boston, or you got the spring marathons. And winter training's hard. So I was like, could you come on and give us some cool physical therapy tips? Let's not give away all the secret sauce, okay? If they really need to see a physical therapist, they should see a physical therapist. Eric and I like to say we're not doctors, but Alex, you are the guy.
He
So
actually is a doctor.
yeah.
He got
So
his doctorate.
let's talk about this. Like, let's just start with like before you're even training. Do you have any advice or tips or things people should do or think of? What do you got for us? Physical therapy. Erica, what's the word I'm trying to say again? Starts with a P.
Oh God, I already forget.
Preventative maintenance.
There it is.
That's it. Let's talk some preventative maintenance, Alex. What's up?
Preventative maintenance. I like that. So there's like a million different directions I could go with this.
I know I'm all over the map.
There isn't like one thing that I feel like is gonna like help you stay healthy. I think you really need a comprehensive approach. You need there's a lot of things you have to address. From like a recovery standpoint, like I think foam rolling and getting deep tissue work done is probably the most important thing you can do as a runner to help prevent injuries, and to just stay feeling good. Strength work, routine strength work, if you can, once, twice a week can go a long way. Making sure you're changing your shoes, every few months, that's big too. Making sure you're getting enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours a night, that can really help you. If you're not getting that, you're not recovering well, you're going to continue to feel groggy and sore and tired. Proper diet, proper hydration, each of these like little buckets, if you will, like they need to be filled to some degree in order to feel your best. But I would say probably number one would be like get a foam roller and use it and try to do it before and after you run to like work out all the knots and all the tightness that's built up from all the training you're doing. That will help a lot to like aid in recovery and increase blood flow and all that good stuff.
So let's talk about the foam rolling then, because I got a couple. Erica has one. I even have one of those rollering things that with the rollerblade wheels that really pushes hard on the muscles and the thighs, and don't do it on the bone. It hurts.
Oh, nice. There you go.
When is there such a thing as too much foam rolling?
I really don't think there is too much. There is such a thing. I guess there could be if you're doing it for 4 hours a day or 5 hours a day or something crazy. But most people aren't going to do that. So I would say no, just to not deter anyone from doing it. I would say that for each muscle group, foam rolling for like 1 minute or so or 2 minutes is sufficient, enough to where like you feel like the muscle's loose. It's not as sore as while you're foam rolling it. That's usually good to then move on to the next muscle group. And by, a routine you could do would be like calves, hamstrings, glutes, bottom of your feet, quads, and then, you could do your back too, and that's like a good 10-minute routine that will like get your legs feeling loose, get you ready to run. Right. But it'll also be a good thing to go through after your run when you're feeling really tight and sore.
So kind of repeat the process before the run and after the run. Like it's a good way to get the muscles loose and get the blood flow.
Yeah, in a perfect world, you would do it before and after, and before the run to get you feeling loose, give your body its best chance to succeed. Because when your muscles are really tight, they don't work as well either. So like a lot of times when I do body work on people, I'll test their strength before the session. Like I'll test someone's like glute strength. I'll like have them lift their leg up and then I'll say resist, don't let me move you, and I'll just push it right down. Yeah. And then I'll work on their hips, work on their glutes, and get my elbow in there for a few minutes, and then they're in pain for sure. It doesn't feel great, but after I work on it and get it stimulated, get it loosened up, they're able to lock out a lot better. So it's very helpful to do, before you run, to just get everything stimulated, but then also after, like I said, to try to just loosen up and accelerate the recovery process.
So since we're talking stretching, I know that's all foam rolling, but before versus after a run, talk to me about dynamic versus static stretches, because I know it's not good to do the static ones before, correct? Or am I getting it backwards?
No, you got it. So
okay.
So when you do a long hold static stretch, that actually like temporarily can reduce your strength a bit.
Oh.
So when a muscle, like there's something called the length tension relationship. So your muscles perform best when they're like right in the middle. So if they're too short, they're not going to work as well. If they're too lengthened out, they're not going to work as well either. So when you do like, say like before you're going to like work out, lift or run or something, if you were to do like a whole like session of long hold stretches, your muscles would essentially be a little bit too lengthened out. and that can hinder your performance a bit. So it's better to do dynamic warm-ups before you work out or run, because you're doing quick stretching and you're also moving. So you're getting your heart rate up, you're getting your body warm. It's just more better for your body as you're preparing to like perform. But the static stretching is great after, to like, because you just used your muscles, they're all tight. Now you're trying to lengthen them back out to that normal, adequate state. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And actually, stretching is good. Practice what I preach. I need to do the same thing. I always say it every episode, but don't forget to stretch.
Yes, very important. You know what I do too is, like, if I have a race, sometimes I wake up out of bed, I'm a little stiff, and I want to do like that long stretch. I'll do like the long stretching like right when I get out of bed for like,
yeah,
and then, but then like a couple hours, a couple hours will go by, and then I'll do the dynamic stretch. But I try not to do like a dynamic stretch right before
Understandable.
I hit the start line. Yeah. I usually will do a roll with the stretch, but yeah.
What do you think is more important? And not that one is not important, but if you only had time to stretch once, would you stretch before or after a run?
If you had to choose, oh boy.
If I had to choose,
that is the question.
Because let me tell you why, Alex.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times I don't have time before a run. I get there and I'm like, I got to go. I got to get my 5 miles in, and I only have 40 minutes to do it. I don't have 3 minutes to waste stretching. So I do it. Now, I could stretch a lot after, but am I doing like damage to myself not stretching and rushing getting to my run? Because I'll drive and then just go.
Yeah, here's what I would do. I would do, if you're like that limited on time, I would, before you run, do some leg swings. Okay, leg swings are like the easiest way to like dynamically stretch your legs out and like get you like loosened up, ready to go for running. And it takes like 2 seconds. And then after your run, I would stretch for like 3 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes. Hopefully you have a little bit more time than that.
Well, I have time to go home, and then I usually do it like 20 minutes later. But
oh, okay,
that's better than never.
That's better than ever. Yeah. So that's what I would recommend for you. Leg swings like forward and backward, and then side to side.
I have found that those leg swings are pretty crucial for me personally, because I find when I run, I have a lot of like, and this is probably TMI, undercarriage issues where it just does not feel good. Like it's just very tight in the groin area, and those leg swings, like, they help out so incredibly much. So I that is pretty much the only stretch I guarantee myself I will do, because getting on the treadmill or even on the other thing, but that's like baseline. And then I'm like, all right, I got to do some butt kicks. Those feel good. But those leg swings are key.
Oh, for sure. I'm the same way. I'm like bare minimum.
By the way, TMI now stands for tell me immediately.
Yes, it does, Ashley.
I like that.
And that's what you should be telling your clients when they're like, I don't TMI, but nope, tell me immediately.
No, tell me, yeah.
Tell me. I need to know. This is important for physical therapy.
That's what runners are good for. Yep. Yeah. Especially if you have a long session with a client and you're just like, let's talk running. Anything goes.
Oh, I've heard it all. I probably could have my own running podcast just during the session, but I think that would be a bit of a HIPAA violation. So.
Oh, just don't use names. I don't know. I'm not gonna make it any worse for you.
So we've talked about foam rolling and stretching, but let's talk about someone who might be in the middle of their training block and now they have an injury or they just feel something. Let's go with IT band syndrome. How would you want to treat this as a physical therapist or just as a runner? And you're 10 weeks into your 20-week training block and you got a marathon coming up.
Mm-hmm. So you are describing like the most common thing that I see when it comes to marathon season. Like
beautiful, because I figured a lot of these people are going through IT band syndrome.
It's never. Oh yeah, IT band syndrome is the number one. That takes the prize as the most common injury I see in runners, but especially training for marathons. But yeah, usually like if say you have an ache or pain that comes up, the best thing that you can do, just for anyone before you seek medical attention is just take a day or two off. Like sometimes, a day or two off from training can really, especially when something is just starting to show up, can make a big difference and prevent it from turning into something. But if you're at a point where like you've taken days off, you're doing foam rolling, you're stretching, you're still not seeing any relief, then at that point, like definitely see, a physical therapist. They can diagnose you without any imaging, doing different special testing, and then they can, give you treatment and then give you a plan on how to get back to running like immediately. So save yourself the hoop jumping. Usually you just go right to a physical therapist. Like you can get back on the road quicker and get over the issue much faster.
That's definitely the way to go for runners. Like I know me personally, I don't want to be out of the game for months or whatever it takes, especially if you're waiting for an MRI or something. It's so hard to get in to see those. And so PT is the way to go, at least as a first step.
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy for us to rule out, stress fractures or any ligament tears or, any, we can, give you the right advice to, ease your way back into it, or to tell you to rest more, or maybe you're being a baby and to get back out there and run through it. But that's not always the case. But
all right, but let's be honest. We know runners, those 1 to 2 days they take off. That's hard. What should they maybe do that won't hurt them anymore? That could maybe be like, okay, I think I'm doing something good here. And let's go in 2 routes. Number 1 is IT band syndrome, but I think probably the second most common thing you deal with is plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, plantar fasciitis for sure. Achilles tendonitis. Yep, those little injuries of the feet and ankles are very common. So you're talking like what can someone do for themselves if say they get if they start to experience symptoms there?
Like that 48-hour rest period, you said take some rest. That's hard. Like I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I should be doing something. Like what is something they could do to ease their mind a little bit versus thinking like, I hope it's gone in 48 hours. Like just foam roll a little bit might be the answer, but what would you suggest?
So first, I would definitely say a lot of the times like these are related to soft tissue injuries, like meaning like muscle tightness. And so not to be redundant or repetitive, but foam rolling really is something I would recommend. In particular, like IT band syndrome, that is a knee issue, but it really comes from tightness in your hips.
Okay. Yeah.
So foam rolling and stretching your hips, like a single knee to chest stretch, or like pigeon, figure 4, in addition to like really like a good roll session where you're like trying to work out the tightness in those areas, that can do a lot, because a lot of people don't do that. And like if you're going to go see a physical therapist, like if you're seeing me, I'm going to most likely do some form of soft tissue release on you to ease up the muscle tension. You don't want to go do strengthening right away, because that a lot of times can create more tightness. So sometimes people are like, oh, I need to go strengthen this, it hurts. But sometimes that can not always, that doesn't always help the issue. Then there comes the question of like heat or ice. So ice can be helpful, like, to help numb out the pain. It can be helpful to reduce inflammation if there is like visible swelling. But you can also, use heat to help relax a muscle. So if you have a sore back, or if you have like a sore hip or something, you can use heat to help bring blood flow. That'll help accelerate healing and relax the area out a bit. And honestly, like just prioritizing like good hydration, making sure you're drinking a lot of water, eating really healthy. Your food is medicine, so making sure that you're getting the right nutrients in your body that can help accelerate healing. Making sure you're getting enough sleep. And just staying positive too. Honestly, like your mental state can have a big approach to it. If you're more stressed out, you're probably it's gonna take longer for you to heal.
Well, what I just learned was that if I've had IT band syndrome before, so I learned something though, because I would always just roll on my IT band, and I didn't realize like doing the figure 4 stretch would help that too, and stretching my hips and doing work on areas outside of just the IT band and learning where it's all connected and how that all works, because not just one muscle is what you got to trigger. It's kind of the ones around it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The IT band is cool because it's like a long piece of connective tissue that, like, it's like a big tendon. It goes down the side of your leg, but it really stems from your glute and your TFL, which are 2, big hip muscles. And so when those get tight, that's really what pulls on it and creates that like friction in your knee. So people, you can roll your IT band and that will definitely like help, but you got to really spend time on your hips, rolling those out, getting those loosened up, your hamstrings, your quads, but especially the hips. And then, long term, usually that IT band syndrome can also happen from glute weakness. So in most runners, like I see that their calves are strong, their hamstrings are strong, their quads are strong, but their glutes are usually pretty weak.
Weak butts.
Weak butts. Yes.
Do your squats, people.
Believe it or not, that was an issue I had for a while.
Stronger, yeah.
My big ass had really weak glutes.
I was just gonna say it happens because we all sit on them way too much. So then they get.
It's true.
Yeah, they get weak and sleepy, and they don't want to work, and then that screws everything up because they're like the biggest muscle group in the body. And if we're not using our body the way it was designed, then we're gonna have issues, down the leg somewhere, overuse injuries and whatnot.
It's all connected. It's all connected one way or the other. Wow.
Yes.
I learned that when I actually had plantar fasciitis once, and I was trying to, dude, it was awful. It was so bad during Ironman training. And then I realized I had to work on my calf at the same time to help it, because something in my lower calf ended up, when I worked on that, it helped the plantar fasciitis so much more than just working on my foot. Because I was taking like frozen lacrosse balls and everything and rolling my foot, and that was so hard. And then when I started working my way up my leg, everything got better.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you look at like a lot of the muscles like deep in your calf, they actually go right. Not a lot of them, but a couple of them go all the way to the bottom of your foot and into your toes and help with like curling your toes. And so, yeah, like with a plantar fasciitis or any type of foot issue, you always want to be trying to loosen up the calf and eventually strengthening it to just build some resiliency there. But yeah, it's crazy how it's all connected. That's why I love it though. It's cool to play the detective, put the detective hat on and try to figure out like what's going on and then how to fix it with people. And usually you got to go outside the box a little bit.
Well, I am personally thankful for people like you who have put in the time at school to learn all of this stuff, because it is super complicated, and it could be one thing that leads to another, and it just could spiral. So if you catch it quickly, do the rehab, the PT, it'll help you get back on your feet way faster. So
some people,
PTs out there everywhere, including yourself, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm not done though, Eric. I got more questions.
Hey, ask away.
Some people, especially my mom, who's a physical therapist, would be like, "You don't know this? Okay." So physical therapy,
know that.
is it more so just muscles, tendons, or like Erica had a stress fracture a few years ago? Like, does physical therapy come into play with broken bones?
I mean, absolutely. Not a bone needs to heal, but and that takes, generally, 4 to 6 weeks. But the like re-strengthening process, like we can definitely help you out with that. The muscle tightness that comes with a broken bone, like we can help you with that and get you moving better. Because your body, when a trauma happens to the body, everything around that spot kind of tightens up to protect it, and then that can lead to movement impairments and things like that. So, getting that movement back through, loosening up the muscle tissue around it, getting that area moving again, getting it stronger, your range of motion back, like all that can definitely help with a fracture. But yes, we can help you with a stress fracture. A stress fracture does need to heal first and foremost, which can take, as long as 6 weeks or longer. So what can happen after a stress fracture is, the areas around that get very weak, they get tight. As a PT, I could help you get stronger. I can help you get your range of motion back. I can help you loosen up the muscles surrounding that area that have been guarding to protect that spot. But there's plenty of other injuries that are outside of, muscle and tendon, if you will. Like I actually had someone come in recently. It was pretty interesting. She had heel pain, and she was convinced that it was plantar fasciitis. And after like doing some tests with her, it turned out that it was actually coming from her back. It was like a sciatica issue.
Wow.
So it was a nerve injury. It's all connected. Yeah. She was like,
Erica, what was your stress fracture injury? Do you remember?
Of course I remember.
Come on.
I had a tibial stress fracture. So I made the mistake of running a Revel marathon. So that's the downhill marathons. During my training cycle, I developed the stress fracture and was like, well, I'm traveling across the country. I'm going to run this thing. Big mistake. So I ran a marathon. That was like end of June. I did wind up I got it diagnosed without an MRI, and I took like 8 weeks off. And then right after that, I winged the Berlin Marathon. So don't do as I did.
Well, wait.
Take your time.
Well, wait. There's a lot of people, Alex, who have been dying to run in the Boston Marathon. and they probably raised over 10 grand. And let's just say they got a stress fracture like Erica's. They got a big injury. And a typical doctor would say, I advise you do not run. But this athlete, this runner, they're going to run because it's so hard to get into the Boston Marathon first off. And they raised 10 grand. So let's use Erica's injury as an example, her tibia stress fracture. What should somebody do preparing to run in the Boston Marathon with an injury like this? Because they're not going to run. They're not going to take your advice.
Okay, how much time do they have?
Let's give it 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay.
2 to 4 weeks.
2 to 4 weeks. Okay.
That's a big gap, I know.
No, that's okay. You'd have to shut it down to allow as much healing of that bone to take place. Shut running down, and now do any form of like cardio or activity or strength that you can that like won't put stress on that. So like you could get into a pool and swim. You could maybe even do some light biking. You could do some upper body strength work if you had a cycle ergometer or like an upper body ergometer maybe. Anything to keep your fitness up, because you've likely, if it's 2 to 4 weeks out, you've been training for maybe 10 to 12 weeks. So like you have good running fitness. You just kind of want to maintain some of that aerobic capacity without putting stress on the bone. So just have confidence that you're going to be fine on race day if you just like keep up with, exercise. But I wouldn't just do nothing like sit around all day. I would stay as active as you can, but without putting pressure on your, don't go out for a walk or a hike or something. Like you have to let it heal, because if you continue to walk on it, you're not going to make it worse, or you are going to make it worse. You're not going to make it better. There is one type of stress fracture that I am always like really careful about though. And that's a femoral neck stress fracture, which is the one in your groin where, your femur can, you can get a stress fracture like in the femur where the kind of like the ball of the bone like connects to the shaft of the bone. Don't get your head in the wrong spot here.
Mine didn't go there. Don't worry.
This is a serious podcast, Alex. We don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But that one is a crucial one because you have, your femoral vein or artery right there. So if you break that bone, if you run through that and yet that bone breaks and that pierces your femoral artery, like you could lose your life. It could be a serious injury with internal bleeding. So anytime someone has like that, like deep groin pain, anytime they can't do a single leg jump, or they have a known stress fracture there, that's like a automatic like no-go.
That's a different story though. That's life threatening.
But you can kind of like grind your way
like
through.
If it was going to risk my own life. That's not. I'm not about that.
We know people, Alex, who've had some pretty significant injuries or life events that made running very difficult, but they're like, there's no way in hell I'm not doing this marathon. I raised all the money. I will walk or whatever. Yeah. It's not like the Manchester City Marathon here in New Hampshire. We're talking Boston Marathon. And I think it's important for us to say, like, we don't advise you run injured or hurt, but we understand that you might.
Oh yeah,
we understand.
I get it. I mean, I can only give so much advice. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your decision. So
here's some life advice I like to give people. Is some of the best advice I got was, don't take financial advice from someone you don't want to be like financially, right? Like don't take financial advice from Uncle Joe if Uncle Joe lives in a trailer and can't like afford a beer, right? So I do the same thing with running, and we talked about earlier, like, something about the way your doctor is or whatever. You're a runner, and we're going to jump into that in a second. But I picked my chiropractor out because in his bio photo, it said Ironman on his t-shirt. He had an Ironman t-shirt. Like, this guy's going to understand what I like to do. And he's not going to tell me, oh, you should stop running. He understands that I love to run and I love to bike and I love to do these things because he does them too. And he's going to help me find the solution in with my back in my neck to make it better. And I think a runner would appreciate the same from you, because you are a freaking epic badass runner, as you just proved at the Hamster Wheel Ultra Marathon. So now let's go back to a few years ago when we met at ADU and you got into this ultra world. You're a deer in headlights, and then you're like, I'm going to do it. How did that start?
Well, I definitely kind of gained interest from it then. And then I helped Maurice out again this past year. And the interest grew even more from there, because I I was actually supposed to pace him at that one too, but I had an ankle injury, so I was only left to crew duty. So that's why I was probably putting in like double the effort with the crewing. But then this past year I was able to also pace him for half of it. So I like actually kind of got like my feet wet by jumping in and running for 12 hours with him. And I ran 36 miles with Maurice, and
Wow.
over the course of 12 hours, and I
that
felt
your
like
longest run kind of to
yes.
date at that point? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that was like when I was like, okay, like I think I could actually like do one of these, like maybe a 12-hour, is something I'll do first. And then we talked, and he was like, oh, well, if you want to do this next year, you have to do another race. It's tough to get into ADU.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, maybe look at the Hamster Wheel. I'm like, well, the Hamster Wheel, that's 2 weeks after Chicago, and I just ran Chicago. I was signed up to run Chicago Marathon this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to go, around 3 hours for that. And I was like, I don't know if that's like the smartest thing. Like marathons really beat you up. Like, should I really be trying to do like a 12-hour race like after Chicago? And then I was like, you know what? Why not? That's kind of how I roll. Just fuck it.
So how did Chicago go for you?
So Chicago was good. I ran a 3:07, which was a 5-minute PR.
Amazing.
So that went well, but the good thing was like I actually felt like pretty good after that. So I like wasn't like too banged up. I was actually in the middle of a run streak. So I did like a mile or two the next day. Like I was like feeling pretty good. And so at that point I was like, all right, like I definitely want to do this race. And then but when I signed up though, what I did was instead of clicking 12, I like just made the impulsive split-second decision of like, let's just do 24 hours.
Yep, that's an easy choice.
Why not?
Those are the best. Those are the best ones.
Like, I literally was like, oops.
Loops. The loops are great. And then if you don't want to run for the full 24, nobody's making you.
Right.
You do 12 and just like take a nap, and if you feel like doing more later, sure. But that is not how that went for you.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, I liked the idea of like getting a buckle or running 100 miles. That seemed like really like such a coveted, like amazing accomplishment. So my mind was like automatically there, even though I felt like I had no business going for 100 miles with 36 being like the most I'd ever done. And it would be like my first ultra, but I was like,
little did you know.
I was like, you know what, shoot or shoot, let's go for it. Let's see what I got. And so I went for it. And I kind of
when you showed up to the race, were you like, did you know what was going to happen?
No idea.
You've never done an ultra marathon before. The furthest you ever ran was 36 miles. I don't want to give it away yet, but
I had no idea. So I showed up. Well, I just want to say this too. I want to like give a huge shout out to my mentor, one of my good friends, Joe Gilmartin. He was my football coach in high school. I coached football with him for 6 years. He taught me so much about not just football, but like how to be a man and how to, just how to be a good person. He lost his life like a week or two before Hamster Wheel. So I like, when that happened, yeah, it was tragic. It really, it was just like such a hard thing to go through for me and a ton of other people. He was like a legend in Rhode Island football, like Rhode Island Football Hall of Fame, North Kingstown High School Hall of Fame, like won multiple championships. So when he lost his life, which I found out the day after Chicago Marathon, I was set on running 100 miles for him because he was always about, pushing yourself to the extreme and doing hard challenges and getting out of your comfort zone. And I felt like that was a really cool tribute if I could like just get 100 miles for him. And
Absolutely.
So when I went into that race, I was pretty focused on that. And I felt like I had a confidence or like a strength about me from him. Even though I had no idea what to expect or what I was getting myself into. I told some people there that it was my first ultra, and they all kind of like laughed at me and were like, looked at me like I was like a little, I don't know, like I was a baby giraffe. And
well, is this before the race or like as
I'm like going to get my bib? I'm standing there, I'm like freezing because it's cold. I didn't bring enough layers. I'm like, I didn't even know where to park my car or like where to set up my tent. I didn't even have a tent. Maurice brought the tent because he returned the favor and crewed me for this in addition to my girlfriend Jen. So I was just like kind of a scrambled mess. I brought like a big tote full of like just a million things. I had like a box of Uncrustables. I bought like a couple pair of shoes and some sweatshirts, and just was like, all right, let's go.
See how it goes.
I had
Maybe it
a
was
little.
for the best.
I think it was. I mean, I had no clue what to expect. I had a pace plan that I felt like made sense to me. I did 7-minute jog, 3-minute walk, and I did it from the first lap. Like I remember, we all went out, the race started in that 7 minutes. I was like, okay, time to walk. And everyone kept going. And then I just was walking, and I felt it was really tough to do that. But I just was like, oh, this is my plan. I'm going to try to do this for the whole time.
Well, you are living proof that works. I've heard a lot of things. I'm just terrible at sticking to something like that. I'll be like, oh, I'll pick that up after the first 40 miles. No, I'll walk the last 40 miles. That's usually what happens. But sticking to a plan is the way to go. Even if it sucks, it doesn't feel totally natural to be taking a walk 7 minutes into the start of a race, but that is the way, and you did it. And tell everybody how the rest of the race went.
Wow. So I love a new audience, because I love talking about this race, because it was probably like the best day or athletic achievement I've ever had. And if I never do anything like that again, I'll be totally fine, because it exceeded my expectations. So yeah, I did the 7 and 3 for most of it. And for those who don't know, the hamster wheel is like a 4-mile kind of out and back, 2 out, 2 back. The end of the coming back part, you go up this little hill and you kind of loop it back around. And so I made sure no matter where I was in that 7 and 3, I would walk up the hill.
Smart move.
Try to power walk it. I made sure every time I came back around for a loop, I was filling up my little water bottle, and I was like getting some form of food in and taking food with me to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I like a typical lap was like, water with electrolytes. I'd down a whole water. At the end of the 2 miles, I would fill it up again and then come back. And then I would, I'd have a goo or something during that lap. And then when I came back around, I'd have like an Uncrustable or like a grilled cheese or a granola bar or something. So I was getting probably like, I don't know, 200 to 300 calories of food per hour. And then I was probably having like, I don't know, 20 to 30 ounces of water with electrolytes per hour. And I was like, I knew I didn't have the experience. I didn't have like the miles in my legs, like in training. And I had just come off of a marathon. So I was like, I guess I just need to like really stick to my plan as far as like pacing and nutrition and hydration if I want a chance of like getting 100 miles.
Yes.
So that was kind of that was the deal for like a long time, 50, 60 miles. And Maurice ran some laps with me. My girlfriend ran some laps with me, and that was awesome. At one point, I had asked, because I felt like I was doing well. Like I was like, I feel like really good. My ankle started to bother me, but I was still moving along pretty well. And I asked my girlfriend Jen, I said like, hey, what place am I in? Like I really want to know like where I am in the standings. And she was like, we had talked before the race about how I was not going to worry about that, how I was there for me versus me. And she was like, and she asked for permission, or I told her, I was like, I want you to like help me out and because she's really sweet. And I was like, but I want you to like kind of give me tough love if I need it, either to keep going or to like not worry about that stuff. So she was like, absolutely not. I'm not telling you, where you are in the standings. Like you need to just focus on this mile. And that was great advice. So I shut that whole like thought out of my brain for like a while, like for at least the next like 5-10 hours. This is in the middle of the night when like the coyotes are howling and
right.
Everyone's kind of like not saying anything. People are like looking like zombies out there. Because in the beginning of this race, everyone was all happy. Hey, great job! And then it's like the middle of the night. Everyone's like, no one's looking at you.
The dark place. It comes out pretty in force.
Yeah. So I basically, I stopped worrying about where I was place-wise, but I just kept going. I kept going. I was listening to David Goggins' audiobook to try to like give me some motivation, some inspiration. And then maybe around 2 or 3 in the morning, Jen was asleep, but Maurice was out. And I was like, all right, I got to know where I am right now. I need to know. Like, this is like, now it's like, she's asleep. No, but I was like, I need to know where I'm at, because at this point I need new motivation, because it's like, it's so old. So I'm like, where am I? I'm at like 85 miles or something. And he was like, you're in 3rd place. And at that point I was like, oh,
was
man,
he lying?
No, he was being serious.
He was okay.
He was like, you're in third place. He's like, the girl who's in second is a few minutes ahead of you, and the guy who's
Leslie?
in first, I can't remember. I should remember that. But so he's like, she's in second. She's a few minutes ahead. She just came through. The guy who's in first is 108 miles, and I might have been a little more than 85. I might have been around 90. And I was like, oh man, 108 miles. Like, all right, well, I'm definitely not gonna get first. Let's just go and try to get second. Like, let's try to chase this girl down. And so at this point, I threw away the 7 and 3 plan. Now I'm just running because I somehow still felt okay. And so I was like, mission catch this girl in second place.
This girl's on Patreon, by the way.
What?
It is Leslie? Did you
It is Leslie. Leslie and Emily.
I love them.
So yeah, she was a beast. Like,
they're amazing, Alex.
It's
totally cool. They're amazing.
To the end, and I like still don't see her. I get right to the end, and I'm like asking people running by me if they're like, where I'm saying like, great job, like, what place are you in? So then I ask, and everyone's answering me, and then finally I ask this girl, and she's like, I'm in second or something, or she gave me some type of info. I forget what I asked or what she said, but so I was like, oh, okay, that's her. So then I was like fed up even more, and then caught her, came around, and then at this point I'm like, mission get 100 miles. So I feel good enough, and I'm like just cruising. And I couldn't even believe it, like how my legs were like moving that fast. Like at this point I was doing like 9:30s, even like I did some 8:30s at the end. And so I get 100 miles, and I'm coming around, and I asked Maurice, I was like, or no, he came up and found me and said, you know, hey, just so you know, like the guy who's in first, he's in his tent and he's taking a nap. He's at 108 miles still. Like if you can get 112, like you're going to win, because if you don't finish the lap, you don't get credit for the miles. So I was like, I already had won the race in my head because I had hit 100 miles. That was my goal. I wanted to, you know, honor my coach and, you know, hit that big goal, get the buckle. So at this point, it was like all just, you know, gravy after that. And he told me too, Maurice, he said, it's a 24-hour race, you know, it's not a 100-mile race. So I just kept going, and I did 104, and now I think he's outside of his tent. So now I see him, and I'm like, oh, no, he's right there. Like he already did 108 that fast. He could just get back out there, do one more lap, and just bury me. So I'm like now speeding up. I'm just like, now I'm anxious, and because I want to win. And I end up doing, you know, I get 108. I come around, and I made the mistake of not getting any more food. I like just.
Oh yeah, your priorities shifted. You're like laps over food. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I went all the way out, came all the way back, and then I started to like totally fade, like fast. It was like I started getting like delusional, like my equilibrium was all off. My legs were just like not working. I was like really feeling really sick and just like not good. And I actually like called Maurice, and I was like, hey buddy, you gotta like, I was right by where you turn up the hill, and I was like, you gotta like come like walk this one in with me, because I feel like I'm not doing well and I might not make it. So he came out and he brought me a Gatorade, and we shipped it back up, and we went up the hill and then looped it back around, and the rest was history. That was it. So I did 112 and somehow won.
112 miles.
Hours.
That's right. I'm going to give you some stats here. 112 miles in 12 and 24 hours. Erica, what do you think that pace is?
Don't make me math. It's
Come
fast.
on, math.
All I can say is every time I saw you out there, Alex, you were smiling and you were running. I never saw you walking out there. So even with your ankles, you looked great. But you were you too,
like, Erica. You too. You crushed it out there also. You were smiling out there.
I've never seen her.
People like you made me smile, because I know you've done a bunch of these. So I'm like, all right, she's a vet out here and she's smiling. I should be smiling. That's how it's done.
See, he stopped after 24. I had 6 more hours after that.
That's right.
I was not okay.
Yeah, I give you a lot of credit for that, because I was done. No way was I doing.
Yeah. I hit my wall, but this is your show. We're talking about you.
Let me give you this data.
Please.
12 miles in 24 hours is a 12-minute and 51-second pace. That's
awesome.
An average speed of 4.67 miles an hour, and that is 2.1 meters a second. I could break it down into so many other things. Meters per minute, kilometers, your pace every average half marathon, which is 2:48:33, by the way. Not a big deal.
Did you take any
Man.
significant rest breaks during your 24 hours, or were you pretty much just like trying to get stuff on the go?
Yeah, I appreciate the stats, by the way. That is cool. I love the the numbers. I love the stats. I think I burned like 13,000 calories or something. That's what Strava or Garmin told me. So that was cool. But no, I really didn't take any breaks. My longest breaks were in the porta potty for sure. Those came more often than I expected. I thought that there was like something wrong with me, but people told me that like, oh, if you're eating a lot, like you're gonna have to go a lot and you're moving. I took breaks in the John, and then I also took like a break when I changed. Like I changed my clothes once. I like changed my shoes once. But other than that, I was like my breaks were like just to like restock. I didn't sleep. I didn't like sit down for like 10 minutes and be like like there was none of that. I just was like I felt like I was in a rush the whole time.
Dude,
well, I
mean,
you kind of were. Yeah,
I really
you put a lot of pressure on yourself.
I did. I put a lot of pressure, and I really tried to just like be focused and engaged like the whole time. Like a lot of like David Goggins, a lot of like hardcore rap music, just like stuff to just keep me like fired up.
Yeah. Yes. So freaking impressive, man. I remember watching you out there, and you were just flying. You were flying every time you ran by. Yeah, but you stuck to the 7 and 3 every 10 minutes there. Like you stuck to your game plan. That's all those people who were passing you, I know that was hard, but you passed them all later. Whether you passed them on the course or when they were like taking a nap, you passed them.
Yeah.
You did it. Let me ask you this. What was next? Did you have any injuries? Did you have to treat yourself? Did you sign up for the next one? What was next? And what is next?
So my what was next? So like my ankle that night was a fairly decent problem. Like I started getting like tendonitis in the front of my ankle. Just from like a shin splint type of injury. Right. And that was like really painful. And it got to the point where I thought I was going to have to like check out or like stop. But then I remembered I brought a leave with me, and I took like 3 of those, and that like saved my life. So I could run through the pain, but it was so swollen the next morning. It looked like I had like rolled my ankle, like, that like puffy, like dark. Yeah, that's what my ankle looked like. Hey,
being a physical therapist and being in that field, when you get an injury like that, like how do you treat it? Do you overthink, or do you go out and seek outside professional advice?
I have, and with like some other injuries, that one I treated it myself. I kept it moving a ton, a lot of like ankle alphabet. I was doing like a lot of stretching. I was like taking lotion and like digging into it and like trying to like massage my foot and stuff. And I was trying to walk as normally as possible, try not to limp. So I did treat that, but I have had other times where I've had to outsource and reach out to some friends or other PTs or whatever. But that one, because the race was over and I didn't really have anything else going on other than just life, I didn't feel like I had to like go get serious medical attention. I knew it would be fine in a few days. It was just like an overuse thing.
Gotcha.
Well, it was impressive, dude. I think
thanks, man.
There might be some ultra runners out there who are jealous of your success, but I think you earned it.
Beautiful.
I think you deserved it. I love the story about your coach. I did not know that coming in here, so thank you so much for sharing that. But this is not over, Alex. We still have more questions for you. Are you ready?
I love it. I could talk about this all night, man. I love talking about Hamster Wheel. That was like the best, like I said, it was the best athletic achievement of my life. I never ever thought I could do something like that. And now I'm officially hooked. Now I'm like, well, either I'll never do that again, or like I'm just getting started and I got 120 ahead of me. I don't know.
We actually know what's next. It's ADU.
It's ADU.
We should talk about that when the time comes. We'll have you back on, maybe like you and a couple ADU runners, kind of like how we do the Boston recap episode. Like maybe this time, Erica, we just bring on other runners to talk about. You're doing the 24, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be good because I'll be doing my first 24 at ADU. Maybe we can get Hannah back because she's doing the 12. So we flip-flopped on that one. And we'll just
She was scared because she knew you were coming into the 24. You were jumping in her territory.
Hardly.
She goes, I can't.
No, I think she's injured. I think she is. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what's
Well, you know who she should go see?
I know, right?
Alex Burke at Apex Physical Therapy.
Yep.
That's right, baby. Yep.
Yep. But yeah, that would be a great episode.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how we love to talk about the ultras now. So
Yes. And
what's another
Maurice,
one?
got to have
Especially,
him on there.
of
Yep.
course, of course.
A huge shout out to Maurice too. I got to give credit where credit's due again with my crew. Maurice and Jen were like rock stars, and they were up almost the whole night. You know, Maurice was there the whole 24 hours, as was Jen, and they made sure I had all my fuel and I was hydrated, and they were just like super positive, and you know, it was just awesome. The fact that they ran with me, like I'd be remiss if I didn't give them a huge shout out and thank you on this platform. So thank you guys.
Yeah. All right, Alex. So it's 2025 and we're having this really fun, maybe we'll actually do this, Erica, but on the runs pasta dinner, and everyone who is our 2025 guests is invited and they get to bring a +1. You can bring anyone, a running friend, a non-running person, a legend, a family member, alive or dead. Use your imagination here. I think now I know where he's going to go from his story, but we'll see. Who is your +1, only one, to our On the Runs pasta dinner?
Wow. Love
hard questions.
Love the question though. You know, you said alive or dead, and I just talked about my tribute to Coach. So I got to go with Coach Gilmartin. That guy is an absolute legend. The things I would do to have one more pasta dinner with him. I mean, we would do this thing before our Friday night games, coaching and playing, where we would have a pasta dinner with the whole team, and we would all, you know, sit together around the table, and we would jokingly call it story time with Joe, because Joe would have just a million stories about his times in Alaska and hunting and times coaching back in the days. You know, so I had just like such a deep bond with Coach Gilmartin, and, you know, shout out to his family, you know, his kids, Teresa, Ben, and Joe. You know, they're awesome, and his wife Mary. Like, man, I just have so much love and respect for Joe Gilmore and his family and the entire North Kingstown community. Like, I'm just going to use this opportunity to say that again. So if I could pick one person, it'd be Joe Gilmore. That guy is a legend.
I knew when I asked the question, when I said ever dead, instantly it clicked. I'm like, oh, I know who he's taken. And I love it. I can't wait for him to be there and share the stories and hear the stories. If this imaginary pasta dinner really happened, like, that would be a joy. This podcast is really built on storytelling, and I could just listen to people share stories all the time. So that sounds amazing. I am so sorry for your loss. It sounds like it wasn't expected. So that's, you know, I'm just terribly sorry for you and your loss. But I love that you ran in his honor, and that you still honor him today, and you're taking him to our pasta dinner.
You bet. He's my guy.
He would be incredibly proud of you, let me tell you, because I know I am. So he is probably tenfold proud.
Thank you.
So, Alex, you know, we have our awesome Spotify playlist, and we like to invite our guests to add songs to it. So, sadly, I don't think David Goggins has any songs out there that I know of. But is there a song that you'd like to add to our playlist?
Ooh, well, since it is a running podcast, there is like one song that just I listen to every race, every hard workout, every like tough run. And it's like an oldish song, but it just gets me going every single time. Mm-hmm. And it's called Fast Lane by Bad Meets Evil. It's like an old Eminem song. Ooh. But if you ever listen to it, like, it'll make you want to run fast. And that's why I love it.
Perfect. That fits perfectly onto our playlist. We love the stuff that just amps you up, gonna keep you going, make you hit the hard intervals, whatever you're doing. That is the perfect fit.
Yeah.
Yes, I listened. Awesome. That one was on repeat at Hamster Wheel. Definitely.
Very nice. I know that sometimes you just get in the zone where, like, just that's what you need. You need one song and just go with it for as long as it'll take you.
I'm a big like song on repeat guy. Like I've even like run marathons to like songs like, or like playlists that have just like 5 songs on it. Like, I just need the same thing. If it works, then run it back.
Don't question it.
Well, it seems everything you do works, man. It works for you. You got a plan. It sounds like you always stick to the plan. Listen.
Not always.
Well, when it doesn't, call us, and we want to hear that story too.
Okay.
But Alex, you are the man. Listen, dude, thanks for the advice and the tips. Thanks for telling us about, this Boston stuff. If I ever have questions, I'm calling you and coming to Rhode Island, because I trust you.
Newton. I'm in Newton.
Newton, Mass.
Yeah.
Even better.
I'm right by Heartbreak Hill.
Dude.
I think I'm going there this weekend. I'm joining a Heartbreakers run. So I think we're going to the Newton store.
Heartbreak Hill.
This whole time I was
Awesome.
thinking Newton it's Newport, Rhode Island. I was thinking Newport, Rhode Island, but it's Newton, Mass. Yes.
Well, I was born in Newport, but yeah.
Ah, that's the confusion. Well, listen, I'm coming to you because, like I said earlier, where that chiropractor had the Iron Man shirt. I feel like if you want to be a runner and if you want to be in this sport and do well in marathons, and I'm not saying compete, but I'm saying do well and have a long lifespan in this sport, when you need to seek physical therapy or medical attention, I think it only benefits you to go to someone who understands what you're doing and what you're going through.
100%.
And that's you, Alex. So versus going to that doctor who's like 300 pounds, just says, oh, you shouldn't run, it's bad for your knees, or taking the financial advice from someone who lives in a trailer down by the river. Take advice from people you want to be like, or from people who you think know what they're talking about. And that's you, Alex. That is absolutely you 100%. So outside of my mom, who's a physical therapist, I think I'm coming to Apex Physical Therapy in Newton, Mass.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you. And yes. I will always, I meant to say this earlier, I will always try to get you running as fast as possible. Like, I won't rest and sit out and do nothing is always like second, or, I'm always going to try to like get you back on the road. I would say I'm a little bit more aggressive than normal because I know when it's me, I want to get back out there. So I understand what that's like. And
I mean, Tom Brady trusts you.
Yeah.
Alex Guerrero trusts you.
I guess so.
And it works for them.
That's right.
Alex knows the secret sauce, everybody. Alex, this was a pleasure. This was a joy. Erica, you got anything for Alex before we go?
Just have to say a huge thank you because you taught us a lot. I mean, I want to pick your brain some more, but we'll have to do that a little bit later. But just thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, especially being so close to the Boston Marathon. I hope these tips will help the runners who might be struggling with some issues, and just take the time to stretch, people. Do as I say, not as I do.
That's right.
Alex, where can everybody find you outside of like just Googling Apex Physical Therapy? Like, you're on Instagram, you're on social media, you have a website. Where should people go to find you and follow?
I would say probably Instagram, Apex Phys Therapy. That's probably the most common platform that I'm on. I'm on Facebook. I am on TikTok, if that's still a thing.
If that's still around by then.
To be determined.
Well, listen, Erica is going to put everything in the show notes too, guys. So when you're listening to this podcast, go to the show notes, scroll to the bottom, and find all the links for Alex's stuff. It's there. And when you go see Alex, use the code on the runs for absolutely no percentage off your care, but just tell him you listened to the pod and you loved it.
I love it, man. Yes. We can maybe work out something.
All right. Well, hey, man, you are the man. Good luck. Listen, I hope to see you around the Boston Marathon anyways, because I think you'll be there or doing something. Erica and I always cheer at mile 19, which is in Newton. So you're welcome to join us.
That's where I'm so close to mile 19. It's crazy. That's
well, come and cheer with
us.
You're
more than welcome.
I'll join you guys.
The merrier.
We'll be right near the John Kelly statue,
yep.
And we'll also see you at ADU when you're going to crush it. You're absolutely going to crush it. You're going to get one of those wicked awesome medals or wooden buckles. Well, no, I'm talking about what Hana makes.
We got to go do it.
Oh, the awards.
Yeah. The awards. You're going to earn one, man.
I see one of those.
That's my goal.
Future.
I hope so. Great conversation, guys.
Yeah, it was. Guys, this was a pleasure. I really hope you enjoyed this. A few tips to help you out with your marathon training so you can get through it, because, injuries happen to all of us. And if you need to seek medical attention, as Eric always says, we're not doctors. But Alex is. He's a physical therapist. Give him a call. Go see it. Go see him at Apex. Guys, this is awesome. Alex, thank you so much for jumping on the pod. It's been a long time coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. It was an honor and a blast.